7 Secrets of Vishnu by Devdutt Pattanaik. Chapter 6. Krishna Secret. Know the thought behind the action. Part 2. Amongst all the milkmaids of Vrindavan, there is one who is identified as being closest to Krishna. Her name is Radha. Radha is said to be the wife of Yashoda's brother, and she is older than Krishna. Theirs, thus, is a relationship that transcends custom and law. In their pure love, unbound by expectations, unanchored by conventions, there is music. It inspires Krishna to play the flute. But when Krishna leaves Vrindavan, he enters a world of customs and laws where no relationship is pure, where everything is fettered by expectations. The music stops. He gives up his flute and instead takes up the conch shell of warriors. He goes about marrying women, not for love, but out of a sense of duty. He elopes with and marries Rukmini, princess of Vidarbha, after she begs him to save her from a loveless marriage she is being forced into. He marries Satyabham, who is given to him as a token of gratitude when he identifies the killer of her uncle and recovers a very precious jewel, the Syamantak, belonging to her family. He ends up with 8 principal wives and later gets 16,100 junior wives, women who seek refuge with him after he kills Narak, the demon king who held them captive in his harem. Krishna is a good husband to all these women and a good father to their children. He multiplies himself several-fold so that he can give each wife individual attention and no wife feels abandoned or excluded. But none of the wives sees the passion in his eyes that is reserved for Radha, nor do they dance around him as the milkmaids did in the forest. The relationship here is much like Ram's relationship with Sita, formal, dictated by custom, based on respect, not passion. Like the Maharas, the war at Kurukshetra is not what it seems. Both are paradoxes. The sexuality of the former is not about sex, and the violence of the latter is not about violence. Beneath the unabashed clandestine sexuality of the Maharas is the absence of desire for any physical conquest. It is about perfect love and absolute security that allows married women to dance and sing all night in the forest with a divinely handsome boy. Likewise, the bloodshed at Kurukshetra is not about property or vengeance. It is about restoring humanity, outgrowing animal instincts, and discovering the divine. Krishna does not fight in this war. He serves only as charioteer and guide. He can only encourage. Action is left to the Pandavas. It is their battle, their action, their decision. All he does before the war starts is to remind them that the war is not about property or vengeance. It is about restoring dharma, and dharma is about sharing, about giving, not taking. The war is not about conquering material reality. That is a delusion, for material reality can never be conquered. It is about realizing spiritual reality through material reality. It is about questioning the very notions of property and identifying where from came greed, envy, rage, and hate. It is about realizing that in every human being is a frightened beast, seeking survival and significance, and knowing very well that humans can outgrow this beast as they empathize with others. This process of outgrowing the beast is the process of discovering God. This discourse of Krishna before the war is called the Bhagavad Gita, Song of God. The core of our forces are first led by the Grand Patriarch Bhishma, who is like a father to the Pandavas. Krishna encourages his killing because Bhishma has abandoned ashram dharma. Like Yayati's son Puru, he indulges the lust of his father Shantanu when he decides to give up sex so that his old father can marry the woman he loves. Though never married, he lives as a householder taking care of his nephews and his grandnephews. Even when the grandnephews, the Pandavas and Kauravas are old enough to take charge, in an overprotective zeal, he refuses to gracefully withdraw and continues to participate in worldly affairs. When it emerges that killing Bhishma is impossible since he has the power to choose the time of his death, Krishna encourages the Pandav Arjun to shoot 100 arrows and pin the old man to the ground and immobilize him. Thus, Krishna forcibly removes the incorrigible Bhishma from the arena of society. After Bhishma, the Kauravas are led by their teacher Drona, who is also teacher to the Pandavas. Krishna encourages Drona's killing because Drona has abandoned Varna Dharma. Though born in a family of priests, he functions as a warrior and even crowns his son king of a kingdom created by laying claim to one half of Draupad's land. As teacher, he teaches his students everything about war and nothing about peace. He teaches his students about taking property rather than sharing property. He teaches them everything about material reality and nothing about spiritual reality. And so, Krishna encourages the Pandav Yudhishthir to tell a white lie and declare that Ashwathama is dead. You will refer to Ashwathama the elephant, but he will assume it is Ashwathama, his son. Heartbroken, he will stop fighting, and when he stops fighting, says Krishna, Draupadi's brother, Dhrishtadyumna, can sever his head from his body as he severed Draupad's kingdom of Panchal. After Drona, Karna is raised to the position of commander. Both Karna and Krishna know that Karna is the child of Kunti, born before her marriage to Pandu. He is therefore the elder brother of the Pandavas, Krishna's eldest cousin, who was raised amongst charioteers. Karna manages to learn archery from Parshuram and becomes a renowned archer in the Kaurava court. Draupadi refused to let him contest for her hand in marriage because of his association with charioteers, and the Pandavas revile him constantly because of his low social status. But Duryodhan treats him like a prince. Draupadi's action costs her dearly. She rejects a charioteer only to end up marrying 5 men who gamble her away. Duryodhan's affection costs Karna dearly. He is forced to choose between a friend and dharma. Karna chooses his friend. And so God turns against him. In the heat of battle, his chariot wheel gets stuck in the ground. As he jumps down to release the wheel, Krishna encourages Arjun to shoot the unarmed, helpless Karna in his back. Arjun protests, but Krishna insists. A man who allowed the helpless Draupadi to be abused, a man who chose friendship over dharma, has no right to claim protection under dharma. Bhishma, Drona, and Karna are all students of Parshuram. Each one is taught warfare to uphold dharma. But each one remains silent when Draupadi is being disrobed in public. Each one of them justifies, however regretfully, their support of the Kauravas over Pandavas. Ultimately, they focus on rules rather than the spirit of dharma. Ultimately, they focus on their own helplessness rather than the consequences of their actions on society at large. That is why, as Krishna, Vishnu engineers the killing of his own students. Krishna silently witnesses the killing of each and every Kaurava by the Pandava Bhim. He watches as Bhim drinks the blood of Dushasan, Duryodhan's brother who had disrobed Draupadi. He watches Bhim wash Draupadi's hair, untied during that horrific incident, with Dushasan's blood, and tie it with Dushasan's entrails. Thus, a vile vow taken 13 years ago in the gambling hall is fulfilled. When it becomes difficult to kill Duryodhan, Krishna encourages the breaking of a war rule: never strike the enemy below the waist. Bhim strikes Duryodhan below the waist and breaks his thighs. With the 100th Kaurav killed, the Pandavas are declared victorious. They are now masters not only of Indraprasth, the kingdom they built, but also of Hastinapur, the kingdom of their ancestors that they should have inherited. But victory comes at a price. Following the 18-day war, Drona's son, Ashwatthama, attacks the Pandava camp at night and kills the 5 children of Draupadi, mistaking them to be the Pandavas. As God, Krishna knew this would happen, but he does not stop it. Perhaps to remind the Pandavas of the consequences of any war, even one fought for dharma. And so, in the end, Krishna has to console 2 women, Gandhari, the mother of the Kauravas, and Draupadi, the wife of the Pandavas. Both have lost their children. Gandhari curses Krishna and his family. Krishna lets her. In that fit of rage, all the bitterness in Gandhari's heart gushes out, leaving behind a soul once again pure for love. Gandhari then weeps uncontrollably for her imperfect children. Krishna holds her tight, feeling her pain. Krishna also feels Draupadi's pain. The battle which avenges her humiliation also claims all 5 of her children. Draupadi learns that both vengeance and justice comes at a price. Krishna asks her to forgive and let go. It is difficult. He holds her in his arms and gives her strength. Life is difficult and people are imperfect. Unable to cope with the vagaries of this world, everyone makes mistakes. True love is the ability to love people despite their mistakes. In the final chapter of the Mahabharata, Yudhishthir is indignant when he finds the Kauravas in heaven. How can they, the cause of so much suffering, be given a place in heaven? Krishna retorts, you killed them in battle and ruled their lands, and still you hate them. You claim to have renounced the world, but you have not renounced your rage. How then can you stake a claim to heaven? In the Hindu world, everything is God, everything, even the Kauravas. Everything in the world is a part of Krishna. Everything, therefore, can be loved and is capable of loving. He who has truly realized Krishna cannot hate the Kauravas. He cannot hate anyone. Krishna may punish the Kauravas for their misdeeds, but he never rejects them. His love makes room for the weakest, the cruelest, the most imperfect. This is dharma. When we stop loving, we embrace adharma. We judge, condemn, and reject people, invalidate them in hatred. We stop being generous. Like the Kauravas, we become mean-minded, petty, stingy, clingy, and possessive. Or like the Pandavas, we become clueless, confused, in search of direction and wisdom. We forget the path to Madhuvan. We entrap ourselves in Kurukshetra. The earth weeps for us, because in our inability to love, in our pursuit for power, in our lack of wisdom, we lose a golden opportunity to enjoy life, make life enjoyable for others, and find joy in giving joy. That is why the Krishna saga begins when the earth cow stands before Vishnu and begs him to save her children. God listens. The cowherd turns into the charioteer. He disciplines the unruly horses of the head with verses of the Bhagavad Gita. The verses provide a true understanding of life, an understanding that prevents false interpretations of circumstances and false expectations from the world. Thus enlightened, the heart loses its craving for power and embraces love. We participate in life not to control it, but to appreciate it. The charioteer Krishna of the Mahabharata, Lord of Rukmini, appeals to our head and helps us in times of crisis. He transforms our world from a battlefield into a garden. He leads us out of Kurukshetra and helps us return to Madhuvan. There we find the cowherd Krishna of the Bhagavad, Lord of Radha, who appeals to our heart and awakens a desire for celebration. Senses stirred, heart rejoicing in love, head filled with wisdom, we submit innocently to his music and take our place in his Maharas.
जब चाहो ऑन हो जाओ, एपिक ऑन चलाओ. Available across all devices.